Hello, I'm Bruce Rouse from the Sustainability Education Academy, and with me today I've got Sanae Alaoui, who is an experienced procurement transformation professional, strategic procurement consultant, and certified trainer. Sanae has a bachelor's degree in process engineering and is MCIPS certified from the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. Sanae, before I go on, what is MCIPS?
MCIPS. MCIPS is a
MCIPS.
membership from the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, which is UK-based. It's a recognized, well-recognized certification in the field of procurement and supply. And now it's like even in the region and worldwide as well.
Great. I wasn't aware of that. And you, and she also has a certificate of sustainability and circular economy from the University of Cambridge in the UK, which is a very, I think most people will be familiar with the name of Cambridge. Yes. Sanae has over 20 years supply chain and procurement expertise, and her company, Strategyah Consulting. Is that the correct pronunciation, Sanae? Strategyah?
Yeah.
Consulting assists organizations achieve excellence in their procurement and supply chain through strategy development and implementation, process improvement, digital transformation, sustainable procurement implementation, and training and talent development. So I'm really pleased to be interviewing Sanae because, sustainable procurement, I think, is perhaps a little bit easy to say, perhaps a bit hard to do. So I want to ask you firstly, though, why should businesses care about sustainable procurement?
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Bruce, for inviting me to this interview. And I'm happy to share my inputs regarding sustainable procurement. Actually, regarding why should businesses care about sustainable procurement, globally, companies are observing substantial pressure from their key stakeholders, customers, employees, regulators, investors, and even suppliers to push the sustainability agenda forward. Greenhouse gases emissions is a major sustainability topic that has become a priority for organizations to address. And I believe understanding scope number 1, 2, and 3 emissions is important to understand why procurement role is key in implementing the sustainability. So just I will give brief definition about the 3 scopes. So scope 1 emissions are about emissions coming directly from owned and controlled company sources, like, for example, production plants, transportation vehicles. And emission 2 is coming from facilities that provide energy that is bought and consumed by companies. And scope 3 emissions refers to the indirect emissions that occur in the company's value chain, which is outside the control of, or the direct control of the company. So these emissions are attributed to the activities of the company's suppliers. So the whole supply chain carbon output rolls up under this scope. Scope 3 emissions, as you know, often is the largest component of the company's carbon footprint. And as analysis shows that 70%, up to even more, like 99% in some industries, like the automotive industry of many organizations, emissions are coming from their supply chain. So we agree on that mainly these emissions are coming from supply chain, and more than half is coming from the upstream supply chain. So we understand that the procurement role is key and is important, and procurement professionals need to play a big role by engaging with their suppliers in order to address sustainability. So this is one element that is very important. We know that procurement influence goes beyond, the emissions or the environmental sustainability, the environmental dimension of sustainability. Sustainability is not only about carbon emissions, it's about waste management, water usage, human rights, ethics, and labor practices. I have one example of labor practices and human rights, and more specifically about child protection. According to UNICEF, And the International Labour Organization, at the beginning of 2020, nearly 160 million children worldwide were reported being subject to child labor. We can understand that procurement can play really a big role in addressing this issue. Procurement has the capability to control the supply chain by putting in place sustainability strategies. They can audit, they can evaluate, they can influence, and they can protect throughout the whole value chain. So I believe that the sustainable procurement is really important, and companies should care about it because it will help in addressing the sustainability agenda. I hope I wasn't so long in my answer.
Yeah, that's great. I can think of another one, perhaps that you didn't touch on, and is related to my area of energy efficiency. When you specify something, when you purchase new equipment that is highly efficient and uses, therefore has a low carbon footprint in its operation, in actual fact, the financial benefit can be considerable over the lifetime of that asset. It's not just good for the planet; it's very good for the bottom line.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
that leads on to the next question. How does sustainable procurement always improve the bottom line, or only sometimes, or what's the answer to that?
Actually, so far the perception is that sustainable procurement is expensive to implement. It needs an upfront cost, which is a little bit challenging for some companies who are looking for quick benefits. But yes, sustainable procurement can improve a company's bottom line in several ways. We should look at it at the for the long run. I mean, we need to look at different aspects, cost savings over the long term by reducing waste, increasing efficiency, minimizing the impact of risk associated with environmental and social issues. For example, choosing suppliers who use sustainable materials and processes can reduce waste and improve efficiency, resulting in cost savings. It's also, for example, preserve the company reputation, which appeal to more customers, leading to increased sales and customer loyalty. It also streamlines the operation of suppliers by engaging them and obliging them to use sustainable processes. It increases efficiency in their side. Then it reflects on the companies who are dealing with those suppliers. It gives new access to new markets, particularly those with sustainability focused procurement policies. So it minimizes risk. You know that sustainable procurement enhances resilience because we are looking at the supply chain from end to end. Then you can spot the risks throughout the value chain, mitigate them, minimize them, increase resilience. Then automatically it minimizes the costs of disruption and influence or add and improve the bottom line.
Yeah, that's great. I think another one that I've observed too, with a couple of companies, I've done a lot of work with shipping ports in the Pacific Islands, and it's very interesting. One of them has, it provides lunch for its workers, and it's moved from polystyrene packaging to paper packaging. And in actual fact, the staff are very proud of it. This sustainability initiative has engendered a sense of pride within the staff that they're doing something good for the planet and help achieve better employee engagement.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, sustainable procurement has a purpose. Has an objective that many employees involved in these actions feel proud and feel engaged because they feel that they are doing the right thing.
Yeah, great. So we've agreed that sustainable procurement is good for your business. What are the elements of a good sustainable procurement strategy or policy?
Actually, first of all, the company needs to define its stakeholders who will be impacted by this policy. From the employee side, supplier side, they have to define this group of people or group of stakeholders who will be impacted. This is first. Second, they need to put clear objectives and targets. The policy should clearly state the company's sustainability objectives and set targets for reducing its environmental and social impacts. Once it's done, scope and applicability needs to be defined as well, which procurement activity will be impacted or will be tackled within the policy. And then also think about supplier engagement. The policy should outline the company's expectations for suppliers' engagement. Some companies are also putting in place supplier code of conduct, where they state what suppliers needs to comply with, what the company expectation is, how they should comply with the requirement of the company. And also another aspect, within the policies and procedures, environmental and social criteria needs to be put in place clearly. We cannot just talk about sustainability as a whole. We need to be specific. It's in terms of sustainable material to be procured, energy efficiency level to be achieved, the social responsibility. Some KPIs can be put in place. I can state, for example, the energy consumption used in production for manufacturing companies. It can be the water usage. It can be the percentage of water recycled. I'm just stating few, so social impact, for example, it can be 100% no child labor. It can be also the people development and learning hours. I mean, many KPIs needs to be set and criteria need to be set. For example, I can state more in terms of material acquired, the toxicity level, the social equity in terms of diversity, inclusion, the expectation need to be stated very clearly, and encouraging also suppliers to use the life cycle thinking in order to analyze the life cycle of products from end to end till the disposal phase, to take steps to minimize their environmental and social impact. Another step that is really crucial is the reporting and monitoring, because without reporting and monitoring, we cannot improve, we cannot have visibility. It's important to measure, to have sustainability performance in place internally and externally, from supplier side and from the internal side. And this is for the purpose of improving continuously. And of course, without leadership commitment, nothing will happen. We need to have commitment of the leadership, and also make sure that we train and we develop our employees and suppliers on the content of this policy. To have the communication level streamlined, everyone should talk the same language, actually.
It's fascinating. There's many parallels with good energy management with sustainable procurement. You need strong policy. You need the leadership commitment from the top. You need to be looking, at the life cycle. Really fascinating to see the parallels there. So, what challenges do businesses face when it comes to making their procurement more sustainable? And perhaps, do you have any examples of challenges and how they've been overcome as well?
Yeah. Actually, I think the first challenge is about the availability of suppliers, options, who provide alternative solutions compared to the conventional ways of procurement. So limited supplier options, it's maybe a struggle for the businesses. And I think it's developing now, because many companies now are in the development phase, making sure to make products and services, sustainable products and services available for businesses. This is one. Second is the lack of awareness and understanding. As we spoke previously, the knowledge is important. So companies are invited to raise awareness, to share knowledge, to teach and make their employees and suppliers aware about what is sustainability, what is procurement, sustainable procurement, etc. Because without knowing, we cannot implement. The other challenge is the cost, obviously. Cost implication. Companies are always looking at the upfront cost. They are a little bit scared about investing, and they don't know whether it will provide returns or not. So it's a bit challenging for companies to provide budget or to allocate budget for this kind of investment. But I believe that with the regulation and with the whole action taken by the worldwide, I think that it's an obligation now. It's not a choice, it's an obligation. Because some companies are really short-term focused. They look at the benefits, the quick benefits. they need to look at the long run, because their reputation is important to be maintained and protected. There are cultural barriers from region to region, especially when dealing with suppliers from different cultural areas where priorities differ, you know. The policy is also a regulatory complexity also is there. Still it's not clear. I was looking at many policies that are in place worldwide. I mean, there are many policies that are implemented in the US, also in this region, etc. I think that needs to be simplified more to allow companies better and simplified, implementation of sustainability in their companies. So I think these are major challenges that I believe, that can be actually overcome.
Do you have a case study that you can think of a company that has taken on sustainability procurement and what they've learned from that and how they've benefited?
What I know that this first challenge about raising awareness is here in the UAE, for example, I know that governments are striving to raise awareness and spread the knowledge. So a big movement about training employees at all levels, because this is the first step. This is the first step, is making the knowledge easy and within the hands of employees. Because if we don't have that step overcome first, then the next step will be difficult to tackle. So especially in this region, I know that many training requirements are there for the green procurement to be implemented.
Oh, great. Okay, so this is my last question now, or maybe the last. We'll see how we go. What skills are needed when it comes to sustainable procurement? So, what skills does someone have? If I was to get into sustainable procurement and you were employing me, what skills would you be looking for?
Yeah, so the first thing is, again, the same idea, is understanding sustainability principles. So procurement professionals need to have a solid understanding of sustainability principles and how they relate to the procurement activities. So this is the first step. The second, and it's within procurement activity, which is supplier engagement and management, because suppliers are they have a big part in implementing sustainable procurement within organizations. They have very a key actor in by helping the companies implementing, because they are playing their own part in making their business sustainable. So it's a joint relationship. So from procurement side, procurement professionals need to be skilled at engaging with suppliers and managing the supplier relationship, including working with suppliers to improve their sustainability performance. So this is another skill. Another skill that that is very important is about data analysis, because now reporting on the sustainability is crucial. You need to understand how to report on KPIs, how to measure and how to analyze and how to improve. So data analysis and management is also key to track progress and make improvements. Risk management, which is also part of procurement function, but specifically related to sustainable procurement, professionals in procurement needs to understand how to identify risks associated with environmental and social issues, understand how to mitigate by proposing solutions, and also having plans and actions in order to address any risk associated with environmental and social sustainability issues. Of course, collaboration, communication is a daily skill and a soft skill that needs to be there, because without it, sustainability goals cannot be understood and supported. Negotiation and contracting, because that now we are talking about green contract, and we are talking about putting in place criteria in RFPs, putting terms, etc. These needs to be negotiated with suppliers. So I think that negotiation and contracting also is a very important skill. And of course, strategic thinking, strategic analysis, and how to improve on processes and how to streamline processes is always something that is needed in order to implement a new process.
So it's sounding like quite a fulfilling career, you know, because you're getting to exercise a wide range of skills, which many people enjoy, learning new things and developing new skills. And also, you know, you're making a difference in the you know, in the mid to long term by you know, getting engaged with sustainable procurement. You know, one thing very interesting from an energy efficiency perspective is, you know, we're looking towards, you know, generally net zero by 2050, but often when we buy major assets, we're kind of locking in carbon emissions for a long time. So, you know, when you build a building, you know, you're locking in the emissions for the lifetime of the building, 80 years roughly, unless you can get renewable energy supply to that building. You know, whenever you buy a vehicle, you know, it has a certain lifetime. If you buy heavy equipment, you know, just in my area, which is particularly building efficiency, if I buy an air conditioning system, you know, in a major building, it might last for 25 years. So I've got to be very conscious of the of its, you know, whole life cycle performance. And for me personally, this is one thing that I think is, you know, missed often, in that the best time to save energy or save carbon is when you're specifying, designing, purchasing. So yeah, it's so important. And unfortunately, often we've seen many times in the built environment, the best intents when it comes to the initial design of the building, but then by the time it gets to the end, they're out of budget for the green features, and they get dropped. I think that's changing, but I don't know. Have you seen much change in that area yourself, Sanae?
Actually, now with the COP28 coming in the perspective of this year, in UAE, I think that there is a big move, very big awareness that companies need to include green criteria in their purchases and procurements. For now, I know that many companies are not yet including those criteria, but as I said, this is in the pipeline, and companies now are making sure to develop the knowledge in order to start including those criteria in their you know, RFPs. Some companies that are like big companies are taking the lead. I know some companies, for example, here in telecommunication and also in hospitality, have started including those criteria in their you know, RFPs and their supplier performance, leading and like trying to put in place those you know, strategies in place to you know, to get like better results. I think many companies are like started seriously. Some companies are not started yet, didn't start yet, and I think we are getting there very soon. I mean,
Great, thank you. Well, thanks very much, Sanae, for your time today and to share your knowledge with us. It's a fascinating area, and I'm going to wish you the best. You've got a big job ahead of you. Sounds like there's lots of training opportunities, lots of opportunities for you to help organizations. Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.